this review is for The Art of Star Wars, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. So when I did the review on the art book for A New Hope, I was a little bit unimpressed. But I did give it quite a bit of leniency just because of the movie it was on and the time that the book was published. I was just a bit disappointed with the lack of art and the quality of the art, and that there was no text, and that they filled up pretty much the entire book with the screenplay. Thankfully, this book, The Art of the Empire Strikes Back, fixes almost all of those problems. I know that Empire is probably most people's favorite Star Wars film, so I'm really happy to report that this art book is not only the thickest of the art books for the original trilogy, but also by far the best in terms of the number of works selected and the quality and variety. But on top of that, everything is labeled, tells you what it is, tells you, perhaps what it was used for, and the artist. So see here, some really great matte paintings of Hoth. And so as we go through, so the only thing that you may notice as we go through that the book didn't necessarily improve on is the use of space. There is occasionally a lot of wasted space in this book, which is a real pet peeve of mine for art books, because it feels like you're paying for blank pages, and you always want more, and then it's such a shame to see wasted space. But things like this are so cool. It's not just concept art. So here's the whole process for building the tauntaun, the armature, the sculpt, animating it. It's really nice. So this book doesn't actually contain the shooting script like the art book did for A New Hope, but I really like that. I would prefer the space be filled with art rather than just the script, because there are script books, and then you do get also some really nice little notes throughout, just some text talking about what it is, which the first art book didn't have any of that. So to have these insights included in the Empire art book is really, really fantastic. So I certainly don't miss the script being in here at all. See, lots of space, but also there's like a gigantic improvement in the quality of art if you go through the art book for A New Hope and then go through this one. It's pretty incredible to see how the quality of the art has just been raised completely. Really? They couldn't have included anything else there? So this book was originally published in 1980. Then this edition that I'm going through now was republished in 1994. And then in 1997, they re-released all of the art books for the original trilogy to include new art that was created for the special editions. And so in the last video I mentioned I hadn't seen the special edition versions of these books to know how much more stuff was included and what the differences were. So I went and had a look at the special edition version for this book, The Empire Strikes Back, and it includes, so everything is still the same in the body of the book. There's a section at the back for the special edition, and for The Empire Strikes Back art book, that was 13 new pages, and also quite a bit of text, sort of, explaining some of the changes and what they were doing for the special editions. But those So while that extra stuff in the special edition versions of the book is really nice, because all of these books have been out of print so long, those ones must have, I guess, had the shortest print run because they seem to be the most expensive. And I guess you've got to sort of decide if, paying quite a bit extra is worth the 13 pages. I am quite content with, what's in here, even though I would really love to have the special editions. Like I said, they're a bit more rare. So even though I really do like that they've included these comments, as you probably can see, there's not, a lot. They could have used tons of this space for more comments and notes and things. But I just wanted to talk about some more of the art and making of books that have been produced that you may want to, pair with this book for the best sort of look at the art and making of the movies. So in the 80s, the very first Star Wars making of book came out. That was called Once Upon a Galaxy, and it was by Alan Arnold, and it was called kind of like a journal of the making of the film. It's really, really nice, but it's not, as far as I recall, there aren't any, it's a paperback. There aren't a paperback size sort of novel. There's no pictures, as I recall. It's all just sort of, a text journal of the making of the film, but it's really, really nice. I like that book. And then, of course, if you want something with a lot of pictures and a lot of great text, you can get The Making of The Empire Strikes Back by J.W. Rinsler, which is amazing beyond words. It's one of my favorites. And then if you want more Empire Strikes Back artwork, there is a book that also came out in 1980 called The Empire Strikes Back Sketchbook. That's it's a small book. It's only about 95 pages, but it's sort of like it kind of actually looks like this sort of stuff. It's just black and white sketches, design sketches of vehicles, stormtroopers, droids, things like that. I'm not that impressed with it, but it might be something you're interested in. And then there's also a very similarly titled book called The Empire Strikes Back Notebook, which is the script and some storyboards. Not all the storyboards for Empire Strikes Back, just sort of like select storyboards. But it's quite a small book as well. But what's really great about that, I would only recommend it for like the most hardcore Star Wars completist. But what that sort of person will really get from that book is there are little it's kind of annotated. There are little notes from the writers and the directors and storyboard artists, and those are really great. That had some information that I've never read anywhere else. And then if you do want to see more of The Empire Strikes Back storyboards, they have released a book in the last couple of years called Star Wars Storyboards, the Original Trilogy, something like that, which is the storyboards for episodes 4, 5, and 6, and then there's also a storyboard book for episodes 1, 2, and 3. And then if you just want the screenplays, because like I said, this art book doesn't include the screenplays, even though the art of A New Hope and Return of the Jedi do. But I'm not a big fan of pairing concept art with scripts in art books, because I feel like I said, it wastes a lot of space. I much prefer when they're paired with like storyboards or something and annotated, which is why if you really want the screenplays, you should definitely keep an eye out for the annotated screenplays, it's a book that has A New Hope, Empire and Return of the Jedi, all in there, and that's that's probably the best annotated screenplay book I've seen, and the annotations in that book are really fantastic because they're based on exclusive interviews with George Lucas and some of the other filmmakers and directors, some of the other writers who worked with him. But that is also quite a rare book nowadays. So if you hear of any local neckbeards passing away, be sure to head on down to their estate sale and see if you can't find a copy. And I think that's the majority of the books that I can think that would relate to this one, pair well with it. But because I mentioned so many, it might be a bit confusing. So I'll definitely link to the Empire Strikes Back page on the Art and Making of WordPress site, which is sort of where I have curated, to my knowledge, the largest database on art and making of books. That will have all of the books I've mentioned listed. If mentioning all those books you're kind of a bit confused and you're like, well, just tell me what are the best, 2 books, if you just, want a small collection just to sort of get the best overview of the art and making of Empire Strikes Back, in which case, no surprise, I would 100% recommend The Making of Empire Strikes Back by J.W. Winslow, and then this book. Those two go really well together. There's a lot of art in The Making of The Empire Strikes Back, but this just has a bunch more, just because, it is an art book. All of the other ones I mentioned are sort of, you can either dabble in if you're interested in specific areas like storyboards or scripts or whatever. See, tons of sort of blueprints and diagrams and things. Even though like this sort of stuff I don't even really understand because I don't have the brain capacity to understand all that sort of stuff, but it's still really fantastic just to sort of see and appreciate all of the crazy amount of work that goes into making films, and especially the making of films at this point in history. So yeah, this book is a vast improvement on the New Hope art book. It's just got a little bit of everything, and then the text notes are very insightful. Then here we go. This is also a really great section, just sort of a little biography on the people involved. When you consider when this book was produced, it's really quite a phenomenal piece of work.